Very excited to be here and share with you today a little bit about Inspire, but most importantly, in Arby's case and what we've been doing with the Internet of Things and Smart Kitchen, things that actually can put not just a little bit of extra money in your P&L, but bags of money, lots of money. The last several years, Arby's has saved over $40 million in energy savings, another $3 million, and that's just at the end of 2018. We haven't even looked at what 2019 was yet, right? This is to cook the same curly fries, to cook the same roast beef, no negative impact to the customer, but using the Internet of Things to understand our energy consumption. What about labor? Let's talk about labor. Try $43 million over a 5-year period on labor savings. About $7,200 a restaurant if you don't have 1,200 restaurants. Alex is working on a project this year that we're going to roll out that's going to give us another $5.5 million in labor savings, or another $4,500 per year. This isn't chump change. This is some serious money. Nearly $12,000 a year in labor savings on top of the energy savings using the Internet of Things. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges we had before we started the Internet of Things. Challenge that many of you guys would recognize as well. And then, of course, some goals we set to overcome those challenges. One of them was costly emergency and overtime equipment repairs. Incomplete or inaccurate restaurant data records, like in the example I gave with the health department. Inefficient equipment performance. We knew our energy consumption was bad. We didn't know how bad it was until we started metering it. We're like, holy moly, right? Equipment downtime and product lost. So we set some key goals. First one being streamline our operating cost. Increase food safety awareness. Arby's has some really good food safety practices and policies in place, but we need to create more awareness and some accountability when we got off target with those. Improve equipment performance and reduce downtime. Reduce the staff admin burden. Managers are having to carry around too many clipboards. What can be automated? Ops checklist, right? HACCP, equipment tracking. So what is our strategy? Let's talk about our technology strategy. Start with energy management. HVAC controls you heard me talk about already. This will help streamline the operating costs while laying the foundation for the platform, the infrastructure for the platform, allowing us to expand to other things. A lot of my competitors in the restaurant industry are approaching the Internet of Things wrong. What they're doing is they're going after food safety, which is the most important thing, by the way. We want our customers to eat safe food and our employees, right? But the problem is if you haven't had an outbreak, it's hard to put an ROI on that. It's hard to go and ask for X amount of capital dollars to invest in the Internet of Things when you're kind of getting away with it today and maybe safe, maybe not, who knows? But no major outbreaks. It's hard to put a business case. But you put energy behind it. Energy pays for the platform. And then you can build off of it with the labor, and then you'll get the food safety and the other benefits, right? So we put our infrastructure in place. Then we moved on to equipment after we had the platform. Once we put that infrastructure in place, and again, I told you we paid for that in about a year, a little less than a year. To add connectability to our existing and new equipment wasn't much more once the structure was in place. And again, the year after year energy savings, we're paying for it. So we started with which equipment contributes the most to operating costs, which has the largest impact on product quality or product risk, which has the highest CapEx, requires the most amount of admin for our staff. We had a desire for one software platform to integrate data and collect data, right, across all the different equipment, pieces of equipment, as well as our energy platform. The problem with that is the few manufacturers that were doing smart kitchen or kitchen equipment that could talk, as they wanted to talk to their system, not our system, right? One system. And the problem with that is you take like a Middleby, fantastic company, owns God knows how many brands of restaurant equipment, or well-built, or ITW. The problem with that is, as great as those companies are, we're not going to buy only exclusive well-built or only exclusive ITW or Middleby. It's just not practical. And at the same time, we can't have 10 different logins and clouds to support all this equipment and 10 different gateways. How is that going to be secure in our restaurant? So we needed a single point. And restaurant manufacturers weren't quite there yet. So our solution, what did we come up with? So we came up with a third-party platform, Internet of Things company. For us, Powerhouse Dynamics, using the SiteStage platform. Now, this isn't a pitch on Powerhouse Dynamics. They didn't pay me to say that. There are a lot of good other third-party companies out there that do similar work. I just think Powerhouse probably does it better than most. We built this thing from the ground up. It was very custom to Arby's. It was even a little new to Powerhouse, some of the things we're asking them to do. We're able to have a gateway that was secure, PC1 compliant, which is the highest rating for network security. Okay, one gateway that laid the infrastructure for our controls. Communicated, the thermostats communicated to the gateway and allow for our energy savings. Sensors that we actually put on the circuit breakers, right? So every one of our company restaurants, the HVAC system, the walk-in boxes, and other key pieces of equipment, are the energy piece is monitored. We don't do it in every single restaurant for every single piece of equipment. It doesn't make sense. It's repetitive information. But HVAC, because that's all about controls, and some other key pieces of equipment, walk-in box and stuff like that. And then we have a handful of restaurants where we do have everything connected. So that when we're doing equipment testing, there are test restaurants, and we want to see pre and then post spec what the energy difference is. It's part of the ROI. It's part of the requirement, part of the standard for speccing equipment, right? And then, of course, the integration layer that allows us to connect all the different pieces of equipment. Again, we want a Charleston and a Bev Air. We want a Henny Penny and a Frymaster, right? So one solution. And then the single software platform that integrates controls and the data for the equipment, right? Talk about implementing all that. Wasn't easy. A high level of collaboration between us, Powerhouse Dynamics, and our OEM partners, our equipment manufacturers. We had to determine the most effective way to integrate existing equipment and new equipment, right? There were a handful, a very small amount of equipment manufacturers that had equipment that could talk Wi-Fi, but only to their gateway, to their device, right? And so if they had that kind of smart technology, is where Alex worked with them very closely at Powerhouse Dynamics, to get them to change their protocols, basically the language that communicated back and forth so it could talk to our gateway. But most manufacturers weren't able to do that. They didn't have the Wi-Fi capabilities, right? And so we created this wireless module we call an S-Pod. And what it does, this was custom made for Arby's, but it's available for others now. Industry sharing, we want the industry to be better. So we didn't say it had to be only Arby's. But this S-Pod, what we could do with these, we would ship these in bulk to the manufacturer, and we'd have the manufacturer, we'd have Charleston, we'd have Bev Air, we'd have Henny Penny, put these on the equipment at the plant, and through a serial cable, would pull the data out of the controller. So whatever data was in their controller, we would get that data through that S-Pod. As soon as we put that piece of equipment in the restaurant, it would automatically connect to the gateway. No installers, no in-field installation. In fact, that was one of the requirements. We didn't want any techs to have to come out and install sensors or S-Pods onto the equipment in the field, right? We're able to avoid that. So we have two ways of doing it. The S-Pod from the plant, but that's only good for new equipment. We've got a lot of restaurants, and we got a lot of existing equipment. We're not going to throw it all out. So Alex and the team were able to work with a device called a Y-Temp. And basically with a zip tie, they could put it in a rack in a reach-in cooler, and it would take the temperature and the time of the walk-in box or whatever piece of equipment you put it in, and then it would send it over to the gateway. 2-year battery, the thing would buzz us and notify us when the battery was getting weak, and you had like a month to change it. So completely, wireless. So, in summary, if you're going to start an Internet of Things platform, start with a prioritized list of business challenges and objectives, right? Align those solutions with goals and objectives. Have an easy to qualify payback. Remember, food safety is important. It's the most important thing. But energy pays for it. Labor pays for it, right? More OEMs today are delivering equipment that connect and can talk. And I challenge you to keep challenging them, or to challenge them if you're not, to establish a NAFM protocol. I like to say that a lot of the equipment manufacturers are going this direction with a lot of the work and a lot of the push that we've had. Alex is on the NAFM protocol subcommittee. We're trying to get a standard set up in the industry. So if you have an oven for a Blodgett or a fryer from Henny Penny, they all speak the same language, right? And protocol. Could you imagine, think of our home, right? You've got a Wi-Fi box in your house. It's connected to the internet. And your phone, your TV, your computer, all these different devices connect to the Wi-Fi box and you get internet. Basically, what the equipment manufacturers are asking us to do is not do it that way, right? Only talk to their gateway. So imagine having 20 different Wi-Fi boxes in your house to talk to all your different devices. It's not practical. It's short-term thinking. So we've got to challenge the manufacturers. A lot of them are starting to open up to it. And then find a system that can integrate across, again, all the OEMs.